Hey, what's your shinkers, and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to share the story of someone whose generosity and commitment to the hobby have left a deep impression on me, and this story is about Yeng. Before anything else, I want to thank him for his warm hospitality during my visit to his place. The way he welcomed me, opened his home, and shared his time reflected the kind of person he is, and someone who believes in building a hobby where people look out for each other, which is very difficult, especially during in this stream hobby. So our friendship actually began a few years ago in Singapore. Yang actually visited me, and we connected over shared passion for stream keeping, for the hobby as a whole. So from that day, we stayed in touch, sharing updates, ideas, and encouragement across the many miles. So this recent trip to see him in his place felt less like meeting a fellow hobbies and more like visiting family, in my opinion. So in every community there are people who quietly makes a difference, and they aren't necessarily the loudest voice or the ones chasing recognition. They do not have YouTube, they do not have Facebook, but they keep the heart of the hobby alive, and Yang is one of those people. So he has been the aquarium hobby for decades, long enough to see fads come and go and trends rise and fall. Yet throughout all of it, his focus has remained steady, helping others succeed. And this is very, very critical. So over the years, we have both noticed how the hobby can sometimes get distracted by quick wins, social media hacks. So these are the kind of flashy tips or shortcuts that promise instant success, perfect water overnight, explosive breeding in days, or a magic ingredient that will transform your tank. They rack up likes and shares in social media, but they rarely tell you the full story of it. What most people don't realize is that some of these shortcuts has caused long-term harm to your tanks, and the worst part, once you have used them, you cannot always undo the damage. So whether it's introducing unstable additives, forcing unnatural breeding cycles, or pushing your systems beyond its limit, the cost is often hidden until it's too late. That's why people like Yeng matter so much, because instead of chasing what's trending, or what's new hack, he teaches what works in the real world, sustainably over years and not just days. If someone in his area, he lives in Wisconsin, in the US, is just getting started, he doesn't just offer advice, he gives them streams to start their first colony. So because, like, for example, if you just started and you don't want to spend so much and you are not sure whether the stream survive, he gives them to you. So if someone has a problem, he's the one answering their late night messages or helping them troubleshoot their water parameters. So he doesn't expect anything in return, it's just who he is. And all this while balancing a full home life with 4 kids, work responsibilities, and a room filled with 45 active tanks today. It's not a small commitment, but for Yang, helping others is part of the joy of the hobby. So walking into Yeng's stream room, you can feel the energy. So rows of tanks with different strains and projects, each one as clean as possible, organized and clearly cared for with patience and dedication. And yet, as impressive as the tanks are, it's not the numbers that stand out, it's the intention behind them. So every tank represents an opportunity to share. A tank full of healthy streams means he can pass some along to someone else starting their journey. A breeding project in progress means there will be future generations, not just for his own enjoyment, but for others to learn from and keep. He's not just building a personal collection, so he's building a resource for the community. Now the trip to see Yeng was memorable for more than just about streams, so let's just say that it turned into an adventure. So on the second day, we were driving from Stevens Point, Wisconsin down to Milwaukee, where disaster struck. So 3 of the lug nuts on the passenger side tires actually came off at the same time. So that meant the wheel was barely hanging on. So we pulled over immediately, but being on the side of the highway was also risky to do any changes. So with 2 lug nuts holding the wheel, we carefully drove at a crawl to a nearby parking lot, which is out of nowhere. So the tire wobbled the whole way, but we made it off the main road safely. So he called AA, and then began the long wait. Somewhere in between, a sheriff, a police actually stopped by to check in, and He listened to our story, make sure we were safe, and then he continued on his way. So we waited a long 6 hours for the tow truck to arrive. There was some miscommunication there. By the time we got to the auto shop, it was already 1 a.m. in the morning. So we left the car there, rented a car, and drove back. So arriving home, that day about 3:30 in the morning. So a few short hours later, we were back up meeting Yeng at 10 for a full day of filming as well. So as we thought that the car drama is done, it wasn't. So later on our way from Appleton to Chicago, the same car that got fixed started acting up about 50 miles in. So thankfully, Yeng had a relative nearby, so we swapped cars yet again and finished the trip to Chicago. So what's impressed me about Yeng isn't just how much he helps people, is that he's been doing it for years and has never lost his enthusiasm. So many hobbies burn out after a few years, often because of personal frustration, changing interests, or the pressure of maintaining so many tanks. But Yeng just stayed, because helping others fuel his passion and as much as keeping the stream does. So when a beginner messages him weeks after receiving their first stream to say their colony is thriving, that's the reward. So when someone sends him photo of their first successful breeding because of his guidance, that's the payoff. Yeng also enjoys the creative side of stream keeping, crossbreeding, and experimenting with genetics. These are not just personal projects. So often he shares his breeding results with others, giving them new lines to work with or collaborating on breeding goals. Projects like these become conversational starters, learning opportunities, and shared challenges. They create a connection between hobbies and go beyond just buying and selling. That's something I believe the hobby needs more of, not just transactional, but collaboration. So during my visit, we spoke a lot about the origins of streams we keep, particularly Caridina cantuensis. Yeng is fascinated by their natural habitat and how understanding those conditions can help us replicate healthier, more stable environment in our tanks. This kind of curiosity is contagious, so when someone like Yeng shares what he has learned, others start thinking more deeply about their own setup. They begin to see stream keeping not just as a hobby but an evolving craft. So one of the most powerful thing or important thing about having people like Yeng in the hobby is the ripple effect they create. Maybe he gives streams to one new hobbyist. That hobbyist, inspired by the kindness and the gift, decides to help someone else down the road. Maybe someone he's guided becomes a skilled breeder who passes their own line to others. Each small act of generosity sends out ripples that can spread far beyond what we ever see. I want to close this story by saying again, thank you, Yeng. Thank you for opening your home, sharing your time, and showing what it means to keep the spirit of the hobby alive. It's easy to focus on the tanks, the gears, the stream itself, but what really sustains this hobby are the people. The one who answers questions without judgment, the ones who give without expecting return, the ones who keep showing up even when life gets busy. Yeng is one of those people, and I hope his story will remind us all that we can be too. For those who support this channel and want to see more of Yeng's stream, room, and projects, there's a members only video with extended footages and conversations from our time together. It's my way of sharing even more of the people who make this community special, and of saying thank you for helping keep it strong. So until next time, keep your tanks thriving, keep learning, and keep being the reason someone else stays in this hobby. Until next time, peace out.